All right. Hello again, Avengers, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is daily vlog number, I think it's 230 now. So that's nonsense. So today we have some pretty massive news for Essence20. Sorry, I need a drink. Getting my orange juice in. So, 4 hours ago, according to my email program, I got an email from Renegade Game Studios. Anyone doesn't know, they're the people that make all the Essence20 stuff. This channel, very Essence20 positive. If anyone's wondering where the Transformers Essential Essence series is, it's coming. The past month has been unpleasant, to say the least, but still working on it. It's coming, promise. So, get this email from Renegade. Title of the email: Welcome to Night Vale RPG coming to Backer Kit. So, lot to unpack there. First things first, let's talk about the easy stuff. You're not familiar with Backer Kit? It is Kickstarter, but not. Fun fact, Backer Kit started off as effectively a pledge manager for that worked in tandem with or a reward manager, I guess. That worked in tandem with Kickstarter. Basically, a lot of Kickstarters, in order to kind of organize and make sure that everybody got the rewards that they were supposed to get, they would use this company called BackerKit. Well, BackerKit decided, we're doing the hard part already. Why not we do the other thing? And so they run crowdfunding as well. The Ion Heart tabletop RPG that I talked about, where it's you and your buddy giant robot exploring the galaxy together. That was done through BackerKit. I'm starting to see more and more often that tabletop RPGs are, at least on the indie side, tend to go for BackerKit over Kickstarter. And I don't 100% understand why. But it seems that Renegade Game Studio is going to run a backer kit to fund the Welcome to Night Vale tabletop RPG. And I'm going to read this directly from there. We'll be launching a crowdfunding campaign for their Welcome to Night Vale role-playing game on backer kit on October 1st, 2024. So we got a couple months. The Welcome to Night Vale role-playing game is a complete role-playing game powered by the Essence20 role-playing system. So we are now getting a fifth source book in the Essence20 system that has nothing to do with Hasbro, which I think is probably the biggest change here. Thus far, every single Essence20 game has somehow been linked, well, not somehow, has been directly linked to Hasbro. Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and My Little Pony are all owned by Hasbro. So I assume, and this is just an assumption on my part, I have no knowledge of what went on at the negotiations, but what I'm assuming is either after they showed a proof of concept for the new Power Rangers RPG, they negotiated the rights to the other things, or as just part of getting the rights to Power Rangers, they pitched the idea of, once they started developing the Essence20 system, they pitched the idea of, or maybe even when it was still D&D, they're like, hey, we can do this for your other properties too. It'd be really simple, really easy, and it'd be a great way for you guys to make money, because tabletop RPGs make shit tons of money. Everybody knows they're the most profitable business ever in the world. Sarcasm. So that's what I assume happened. But what that effectively meant was Essence20 was kind of inexorably tied to Hasbro. Which some people are not particularly fond of. And thus far, we really haven't seen them branch out at all. Now, they've been putting out just crap tons of Essence 20 books. I have spent far more money than I really should on all the different Essence 20 books. And I don't have all the adventures, but I have every single source book for every single Essence 20 game, aside from one that's not really a source book, but there's some character options in one of the adventures for G.I. Joe. So, yeah, the fact that they are branching off into something completely different is a big deal. Another thing that's kind of interesting about this, so welcome to Night Vale. If you're not familiar with it, Welcome to Night Vale is a podcast that's been going since, I think it's 2012 is when it started. Yeah, original release June 15th, 2012. So it's a 12-year-old podcast. And basically what it is, it's listed on Wikipedia as a satirical science fiction podcast. Effectively, it is portrayed as a radio show from the fictional town of Night Vale. And weird shit goes on. I personally am not a fan of it. Not because I think it's bad or anything. I quite simply have never listened to it. So it's not that I'm like, oh, I'm not a fan of that. No, I haven't gotten into it. But I've heard nothing but good things about it. I know it has an absolutely rabid fan base. And they regularly get guests on there that are pretty big names. Mara Wilson, if you're not familiar with the name, you will probably recognize her face when she was very young because she played Matilda in the Matilda live-action movie with Danny DeVito. She was in Mrs. Doubtfire. She played the youngest kid in that. And she was also in the Miracle on 34th Street remake. She was a child actress. I don't believe she does a ton of acting nowadays, at least not in Hollywood. But she has guested on there. Additional names that you might recognize. Retta, who is, she played Donna on Parks and Rec. And she was also on Good Girls, which Good Girls was phenomenally amazing. I loved that show. Will Wheaton has done voices on there. Molly Quinn, she played Nathan Fillion's character's daughter on Castle. Felicia Day has done voices on there. So this is not a little indie podcast thing. This is a big deal. They've put out a bunch of books for it. There at one point was a television series in the work that apparently has been indefinitely postponed. But it's a really big deal. And like I said, the thing that I find most interesting about this is that it's nothing to do with Hasbro. And to me, that's the bigger deal. And let me explain why. First of all, Night Vale is going to be a little bit different from the stuff that they already have. In the idea that this is, it's a satirical science fiction horror series. So, thus far, nothing that Essence20 has done has really gone in that route. Essence20 right now is, I don't want to say fantastical, but it Power Rangers is science fiction, but it's very positive science fiction. G.I. Joe's modern fiction, but it's very positive modern fiction. Transformers is science fiction, but again, it's very positive science fiction depending on which comic series you're reading. Some of the comics get real dark. And I guess the same is true about G.I. Joe and Power Rangers, but none of them I would ever consider horror, despite the fact that, especially in the comics, they do sometimes kind of flirt with that genre. So that in and of itself, I think, is going to make a very, very different game. And again, Welcome Night Vale is satirical. It's funny. So that is going to make for a very different game that I'm excited to hear about. That being said, That's not the reason why I think this is such a big deal. The reason I think this is such a big deal is, again, because it's not Hasbro. The Essence 20 brand, right now, like I said before, is effectively the Hasbro, not D&D RPG. Like, whether you want to admit it or not, because every single game system that has been built using Essence 20 is owned by Hasbro, and they're all effectively Saturday morning cartoons. That's what most people are going to think about when they think about Essence 20. They go, oh, that's the, or most people don't even know the name Essence 20, but so you go, oh, it uses the same thing as the Power Rangers RPG. Oh, okay, so it's like for kids, and it's like Saturday morning cartoons. Well, not really. To be perfectly honest, the market that they were targeting for G.I. Joe and Transformers is people in their like 30s and 40s, but sure. So now that they are branching away from Hasbro and getting something that is wholly not connected with Hasbro, this could really open the door for other things. I have mentioned this many, many times before. I really like the Essence 20 system as a tabletop role-playing system. I think it is a dynamic system. I think once they ironed out all the issues that they had when the Power Rangers RPG core book launched, which, again, if you have one of the original printings of the Power Rangers RPG core book, hold on to it. It's a collector's item because it was bad. It was a cool system, but there was so much in there that just didn't make sense. They refined it over and over and over again. And now they've added so many other systems onto the top of it that it's gotten a little more complicated than I'd like. But it's still a really, really solid system. And it allows for a lot of freedom. And the thing that I like the most about it is a system that understands the idea of we need to give you enough rules so that everyone can agree what sounds fair. But we need to be able to get out of the GM and the players' ways when they want to do something cool. And I think the Essence 20 system does that really well. So I want to see the Essence 20 system used for other things. Again, it's not that I don't like Power Rangers. I love Power Rangers. Look, I have an entire shelf of Power Rangers stuff. Also, I just got risers so I can display more minis. Isn't that cool? It's not that I don't like Power Rangers or G.I. Joe or Transformers or My Little Pony. I think they're all great. However, if the Essence 20 system is going to continue to grow, first of all, I badly think that we need an Essence 20 like open game license-esque thing. Something for third parties to be able to make Essence 20 stuff. I think that's an essential part of any tabletop RPG surviving at this point. You need to have something that allows creators not only to create cool stuff for your system, but to also profit off of it. Because if they can't make money off of it, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to design things for tabletop RPGs. And if you're going to put that much time and energy into something, you better be able to get paid for it, or you're going to get substandard stuff. Look at the D&D wiki if you want to see substandard tabletop RPG stuff. But in addition to having something like that, which may or may not ever become a thing, I don't know how Renegade is going to deal with that, but it needs to get out of Hasbro's banner, I guess, would be the best thing. Like I said, right now, all of their licenses are done through Hasbro, and Hasbro does not have a great reputation in the tabletop RPG space right now, or in the tabletop space in general. A lot of people are mad at things that keep happening with Wizards of the Coast that they have nothing to do with, and it's generally just Hasbro doing stupid shit. And Magic the Gathering keeps pissing off people for the same thing. It's not that the people at Wizards of the Coast are doing anything wrong. It's generally some moron at Hasbro that has a lot more power than they really should have makes a stupid decision, and then forces other people to deal with it because they're high up on the food chain. So if the Essence 20 system wants to really thrive and become something other than just a niche, it needs to get out from under the kind of exclusivity to Hasbro. And Welcome to Night Vale is the first example of that. There's a system called Everyday Heroes. And the thing that this system does, the system itself is not a really rules-heavy RPG. It to me, it was not that impressive a system. I own it. However, something that Everyday Heroes has done is they buy up licenses like a kid in a candy store. They have a Pacific Rim RPG. They have a Highlander RPG. They have, well, here, I'll actually go in because I have just a crap ton. Everyday Heroes. Okay, so they have a Crow tabletop RPG. Escape from New York. Highlander. Kong Skull Island. Pacific Rim. Rambo. Total Recall, and Universal Soldier. Apparently the 80s is a really big deal to them. But because of that, I don't know a ton of people that are familiar with the Everyday Heroes system. However, I have mentioned things like, oh yeah, there's a Highlander RPG, and goes, oh yeah, people, I've heard about that. Or there's a Pacific Rim RPG. Oh, that's cool. Or there's a Total Recall RPG. Wow, really? Or there's an Escape from New York RPG. Why? That's what Evil Genius Games is the people that makes it. And that's what they generally tend to do, is they will just buy up licenses for things that people aren't really using, and then create a tabletop RPG around it. And like I said, the Everyday Heroes system, it's not the most amazing system in the world. It's not a bad system, but there was nothing about the core system like, ooh, I've got to play that. However, I badly want to run a Highlander RPG. Like, not kidding, it is such a cool system. And it really leans into the lore of Highlander, which if you didn't realize there is a lore to Highlander, you have been missing out. It's such a cool system. The Pacific Rim system actually has you... they have rules for how you enter the drift and pilot your... what are they called? The mechs. I can't remember what they're called anymore. I love Pacific Rim, by the way. The sequel hurt so bad. Because it was just so bad compared to the original, which was just great. Like, it was a great popcorn movie. But the drift is basically these giant mechs. A single person can't pilot them. Two people have to pilot them together. And so in the Pacific Rim RPG, my original thought was just going to be, oh, it's a mech-based RPG. Nope. You create the pilots, and then they have rules for how two different players play the same mech. It's genius. So, getting back to Essence20, the fact that they're now going with Welcome to Night Vale, which again has not a massive audience, but has a large enough audience that I think that this can be really successful. But if it is successful, this could be the first step in Renegade starting to court other little licenses to go, hey, we could create a tabletop RPG for you if you just let us, buy the license or rent the license or whatever, however you want to license it to us. And I think that could be fantastic. Things that Hasbro doesn't own, but are still kind of Power Rangers related. Like, I'd love to see a Metal Heroes tabletop RPG, or a Kamen Rider tabletop RPG. Those are things that Hasbro doesn't own, but are owned by the same company that does all the Sentai stuff. It's all the same company. There are just tons and tons and tons. Maybe they could approach Konami, because Konami's been doing jack shit recently. Maybe they could approach Konami and make a Castlevania tabletop RPG. Maybe they could approach Square Enix and make a Secret of Mana tabletop RPG. Like, literally, the sky is the limit if they do this well. If it goes poorly, then Essence20 is probably going to be limited to Hasbro licenses. But if it goes well, this could be a huge, huge thing for Essence20. Most generic tabletop RPGs have to kind of flirt with that line of, hey, we're going to make a tabletop RPG so you can mimic this popular franchise, but we don't have the license for that franchise, so we're going to make it really similar. Like the Cypher system has a superhero campaign setting, and it's a really, really cool campaign setting, but it's not Marvel, it's not DC, it's not anything, and so because of that, it's a little bit weird. And again, Marvel has their own tabletop RPG. DC used to, if I remember correctly, back, I want to say in the 90s, maybe in the late 80s, there was a DC tabletop RPG. If I'm completely wrong about this, feel free to excoriate me in the comments down below, but I seem to remember that there at one point was a DC Universe, or a tabletop RPG that was somehow related to DC Universe. And I know there's been multiple Marvel tabletop RPGs. So yeah, like, to me, this is a really, really big deal. And again, I'm not a fan of Welcome to Night Vale. Again, not because it's bad or I don't like it. I've just never gotten into it. Podcasts aren't my thing in general. But it's, yeah, like, this is really, really interesting. I'm interested to see how they bring it to life. Again, especially since Essence20 has such a big reliance on equipment and, weapons and stuff like that. I'm interested to see how they're going to change it up for Welcome to Night Vale. Obviously, My Little Pony was not built that way, so it's not that it's impossible to do that, but My Little Pony was very, very different from anything that I was expecting. So yeah, I'm excited about Welcome to Night Vale. I will more likely than not, unless I don't have the money, which is very possible, the closer we get to Christmas, the less money I have. And every time something goes wrong in the house, because I live here and I like having a place to live, I have to help pay for it. So yeah, hopefully nothing else breaks. But yeah, excited about that. I'm interested to see where the backer kit goes. And like I said, as much as Welcome to Night Vale, very, very cool, very, very interested. I am more interested in the idea, if this can be a success, where else can Essence20 go? Again, it's not that I'm tired of the stuff that already exists, but the more different systems they start making, first of all, the more likely that they're going to release a kind of generic Essence20 rulebook, which, again, I think we badly need. And it just means that there's that many more ways for Renegade to keep improving the Essence20 system. Which at the end of the day, as much as people hate capitalism and all that sort of stuff, by the way, most of the people that claim that they hate capitalism have no idea what capitalism is. And they just are very, very proud that they can do what they're told by rich people. That's the other fun thing. All the anti-capitalists get their information from rich people. So, as much as capitalism is evil, it's not. I want Renegade to make a shit ton of money. And the reason I want Renegade to make a shit ton of money is because that means Renegade gets to keep making games. Say what you want, but Renegade, I will guarantee you, will stop making Essence20 games if they stop making money off of it. That's how business works. So if they can keep making money, they can keep making more things. And every single book that they put out, the Essence20 system gets better. I'm not talking about all the complexity and stuff like that. I'm saying the longer they work on the same system, the better they get at designing for it. And who knows, we may have, after this Welcome to Night Vale thing, in a couple years, we may have a revised Power Rangers core book that fixes all the issues that were in the original book of printing and just the early versions of the Essence20 system, which was a solid system, but it was not great. It's gotten a lot better, and a lot of the kind of rulings that they've made as players have asked them questions have made the system a lot better. So anyway, I thought you guys would all be at least interested in this, if not really excited. If you are a fan of Welcome to Night Vale, feel free to actually pitch the podcast in the comments down below. Not just for me, but for anybody that shows up to this video because they were searching Essence20 or just randomly had once looked at a Power Rangers video, and because Essence20 is associated with Power Rangers, and I say the word Power Rangers a lot in this, maybe they'll see this. This might be an interesting way to get new people interested, and if there is a particularly good kind of elevator pitch for Welcome to Night Vale, I will pin it as the top comment on this video so as many people as possible can see it. Again, Welcome to Night Vale is not my cup of tea, not because, again, I have ever experienced anything about it whatsoever. I just don't really listen to podcasts. Yeah. That being said, let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know what you guys think about Welcome to the Night Vale. Let me know what you guys think of other licenses you would love to see Renegade 20 get a hold of for Essence20. Put it all in the comments down below. Otherwise, again, is all for me today. I will see you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.